Good morning, students. Today we are going to see how to find out the effective tooth load. Yesterday we have discussed Lewis form factor, its selection. Then before that, how to find out the beam strength. Today through this, how to calculate the effective load. That is important one. After that, we will see how to use a beam strength to design spur gear also. Okay. Effective load on gear 2. You know very well in a spur gears to transmit power, motion or a torque, the tangential component plays the important role, and this tangential component of the resultant force between two machine teeth actually of the machine gears, and this tangential component is also important role while calculating the effective load also, or you can say we are going to take into account this tangential component. But how to calculate this tangential component, you know very well here. For that purpose, what you have to do, we have to find out the MT, you know the nomenclature. MT means torque transmitted, kilowatt means power in kilowatt, and you know very well that is power is equal to 2 pi n MT upon 60. But here it's taken in kilowatt, that's why multiply into 10 raised to 6 here. So by using this simple equation, P is equal to, I am going to write, you know very well, this is the basic equation, 2 into pi into n into mt upon 60, and where this mt is the torque, P is the power, and we are multiplying by 10 raised to 6 because we are taking power into kilowatt. That's why here it is written. It's okay, no problem. But by using this equation, you can calculate the torque, first one. And once you know the torque, by using the pitch circle diameter of the spur gear, you can easily find out the PT, that is tangential force which is acting on the spur gear. So by using this relation, you will get the tangential component between the two machine gear teeth. But you know very well again, this tangential component depends on the rated power and rated speed. How you can observe these relations? Because MT is a torque and kilowatt means power, and from MT we are determining the PT. That means it depends on the rated power as well as it depends on the N. And you know very well, if you are going to write power is equal to MT into omega. MT means the torque and into omega, that is 2 pi by 60. And you know very well, as the MT increases, the speed decreases, but power remain constant. Or as the speed increases, MT is less because power should be constant one. And based on that, you can say here, the tangential component depends on rated power and rated speed. Again, this power varies during the work cycle. Work cycle means the because of the load, which is going to vary, and because of this, the PT component, it is going to change because as the other parameters N, D remain same, as the PT is going to change, because of that MT is going to change. As MT is going to change, is if you are going to say speed is also varying, what would happen? There may be change in power also. But torque required by the driven machine is also varies, depends on the application. You know very well. You can take the simple example of automobile vehicle or four-wheeler or any vehicle. You will find as the load is going to change, accordingly we are going to shift the gear. That means we are varying the torque capacity of that system or mechanical system. Try to understand. That's why torque required by the driven machine also varies. These are the things going to happen in actual practice. And because of that, what you have to do, even though this tangential component is the important or key component to transmit power and motion, so what we have to do, we have to consider the maximum force due to maximum torque is the criteria in design. Otherwise, what would happen? That gear is going to fail. That's why always consider maximum torque. Maximum torque. And why maximum torque? Because it is going to vary as per the application or is its duty of that spur gear or industrial gearbox. And that's why the maximum torque is important one. By considering the maximum torque, we have to find out the maximum force. And for that maximum force, we have to design the gear. Try to understand. To find out the effective load, these important things are also you have to take into account. So what you have to do? To find out the maximum force due to maximum torque is the criteria in gear design. In gear design. Okay. Now let us see how to find out this effective load. Before finding out this effective load, you should know some of the factors that we are going to use, because these factors take into account the dynamics or the the change in forces because of the dynamics which is related to the meshing pair. Now again here we are going to use the first factor, that is the service factor, and this service factor which uh, which takes into account the dynamic or dynamic forces, you can say in general, or impact between the meshing gear pair also. And for that purpose we have to introduce this service factor. And what do you mean by this service factor? It's simply a ratio of maximum torque to the rated torque. Maximum torque to the rated torque, to you will get the service factor. Again, from the, that's why MT max is the maximum torque upon the rated torque MT. In some of the application you will find maximum torque may be given, you can use it to find out the service factor, or directly you can use this maximum torque to design the gear. Sometimes PT max may be given, maximum force is the criteria in per gear design. If it's not given, you have to multiply it to this PT. If I am going to write this equation, CS is equal to PT max by PT, what you will get? PT max CS into PT. This service factor plays important role. Again, here to take the one important example, suppose electric motors, you know very well, you might have studied in second year engineering also. There is a starting torque and then rated torque. Starting torque is also, if you are going to start any electric motor or induction motor, you know very well, initially the stator or a rotor which is at stationary position, when you are going to rotate it by using a button or a electric motor, what would happen here in this case? Initially that rotor which is coming in contact with the motor parts, and because of that initial there is a friction, and to start it, starting torque is required more, and once it is going to start, the rated torque or running torque is less. And that's why again here, while designing such a the rotor or the shafts, you have to take into account such a service factor. For electric motor, that's why starting torque is more than the rated or running torque, and that's why for electric motor CS is equal to starting torque upon rated torque, and for a gear maximum torque upon rated torque. Try to understand these things. And that's why while designing the speed reduction gearboxes, you have to use service factor. Once you know the PT, what you have to do, this PT should be multiplied by the service factor, and here you will get the PT max, here we will get the PT max, and from this PT max you will get MT max, maximum torque, and you can use this maximum torque or PT max in our spur gear design. Try to understand. And that's why service factor plays important role. But here service factor depends on the number of parameters. Here working characteristics of the driving machine and working characteristics of the driven machine decides the value of service factor. Now again here, you know very well what are the driving machines, to run some gearboxes, electric motors which is used, gas turbine, multi-cylinder IC engine, sometimes single cylinder IC engine. All these are the primers are used to rotate that or it gives the motion or speed or torque to the input shaft of the industrial gearbox. So that's why all these are the driving machines. But when the characteristics of operation of these driving machines are uniform, light shock, medium shock, impact, based on that we have to select the service factor. Similarly, which prime mover which is used for which driving machine, they are driven machine. Driven machine means suppose industrial gearbox which is used to run some machines such as a compressors or concrete mixtures, many applications of industrial gearbox, you know very well. Again, what is the condition, whether the condition is the uniform load condition, moderate shock or heavy shock? Try to understand. By using this condition we have to select it. Now for a driving machine means for a uniform case. Now look at this uniform case. For uniform case, which are the driving machines? Electric motor, steam turbine, gas turbine. If you are going to use a driving machine light shock is the condition, the multi-cylinder, and medium shock condition, single cylinder internal combustion engine. All these are the driving, or you can say prime movers. But when this prime mover, which is connected to the driven machine by using the speed reduction gearbox, that means this is prime mover. In between here, what is in between the driven machine? Here, gearbox and gearbox which is used again here to run some driven machine. Try to understand. Driven machine, driving machine, in between gearbox. But again, when the driven machine working characteristics is a uniform speed or a load condition, moderate shock, heavy shock. Accordingly, you can take the value of CS service factor. Try to understand. Suppose, once again, I will elaborate these things. Suppose uniform load is there. That means if electric motor is a prime mover, that means driving machine is a electric motor. So what is the condition characteristics of operation? Uniform load condition or working characteristics. And if it is connected to some compressor, I will explain that. Yeah, I am taking, if it's a uniform one, you have to take CS is equal to 1. If it's a moderate shock characteristics, you have to select 1.25. If for a heavy shock, you have to select 1.75. Similarly, if it's a uniform, but driven machine condition is a hot, light shock, here moderate, for a light shock, it's given for a uniform 1.25. That means driving machine condition is a light shock. For light shock, if IC engine is used, multi-cylinder IC engine is a prime mover. That time for uniform characteristics of driven machine, what is the value? 1.25. For light shock multi-cylinder engine, moderate shock 1.52. And similarly for medium shock means single cylinder engine is a prime mover. For uniform condition 1.5, 1.75 this. But here, what are the working characteristics of driven machine and which machine comes under this uniform moderate shock? I will show it on next slide. Look at this next slide here. Okay, so you will find if driven machine is having uniform condition characteristic, generator, belt conveyor, light elevator, electric hoist, speed gear machine tools, ventilators, many are the which operates under the condition or characteristics of uniform case. And accordingly, if the application, suppose this is prime mover which connects here to the gearbox and through which it is connected to the driven machine, this. If it's a uniform one and prime mover is uniform, I have already told. Uniform characteristics, electric motor, gearbox, and uniform here driven machine means generator like this. Accordingly, you can refer the earlier chart to take the value of CS. In some of the cases, this service factor is also known as application factor. Try to understand, because these are used for the different characteristics operation of different machines used for different applications. That's why in somewhere you will find the service factor is known as application factor. In some of the data books and the reference book, you will find there is another factor. I am not going to discuss in detail. It's a load distribution factor. One factor CS always you have to use to find out the PT max or the maximum torque. So what you have to do, how you are going to find out the MT max, maximum torque? MT max is equal to CS into MT. How you are going to find out the PT max, maximum force? PT max is equal to CS into PT. Similarly, there is another factor which is load concentration factor or a load distribution factor, and you can use any nomenclature, no problem. But when this factor is used, when there is a non-uniform load distribution, between the meshing teeth or meshing gear pair, that time you have to go for a load concentration factor. Why I am telling these things? Because while solving the problem, while designing the gearbox, sometimes you will find along with the service factor, load concentration factor may be given or load distribution factor may be given. That time what you have to do, if you are going to find out the PT max, and if this load concentration factor is given, PT max is equal to CS, that is service factor, into load distribution factor into PT. So just multiplied by whatever the factors given to this PT, you will get PT max. Similarly, you can find out MT max is equal to these factors multiplied by MT. Try to understand. No need to bother about if any such a factor comes into picture. That's why I am discussing these things. Okay. Now let us see next point. This is about the service application factor. It's okay, but what is going to happen? This service factor or application factor depends on which type of prime mover, which type of working condition or operating characteristics we are going to use for a prime mover as well as the driven machine. That means different application. But here in spur gear, what is happening? The dynamic forces are going to induce in mating spur gear teeth. How these dynamic forces are going to induce, I will discuss now these things with you. Okay. Now here, let us see here. What is going to happen in some of the case? Suppose this is a pinion and this is the gear. Small gear is a pinion, large gear is a gear. They are meshing. Suppose pinion is the driver and gear is a driven member. So what is going to happen? Sometimes if pinion rotates at very low speed, and almost I am stating it's a zero velocity, it's not possible. Pinion is at a stationary, that time there is no any, the dynamic forces are going to result in between pinion and the gear at a very low speed. And why I am stating at almost zero velocity, at low speed, it's not a zero, almost zero means very at low speed. So what is going to happen? The transmitted torque PT is the actual force between the two machines. So you can remember one thing, when these meshing pair or pinion rotates at very low speed, that time actual force which is required to transmit the motion, power or a torque is a PT, and which is only the actual force between the meshing teeth. Try to understand, this is one thing. But in actual practice, gear is not rotating at low speed or almost at zero velocity. There is a appreciable speed, or gear rotates at some appreciable speed. You know very well. And because of that, it results in dynamic forces. And these are dynamic forces because of impact between the meshing gear teeth. Because of impact between the meshing gear teeth. So here, because of the speed, when pinion and gear rotates, it results in dynamic forces. And why it is going to result in dynamic forces? Because of impact force between pinion and gear. Try to understand. And these dynamic forces, why these dynamic forces? There are some factors why these dynamic forces are going to result. And this is because of, first reason is inaccuracies of tooth profile. Inaccuracies of tooth profile means sometimes gears are not manufactured properly, and because of that you will find inaccuracies in his speech and the gear tooth profile. This is one reason. Second reason, errors in tooth spacing. This is also associated with tooth profile, and while mounting it, if it's not properly mounted, so you will find there may be gap in between the missing teeth of the pinion with the gear. That is the error in gear tooth spacing. Third one is the misalignment between the bearings. Sometimes if bearings or other parts of the shafts are not mounted properly, and because of that, what is happening? Because of this misalignment may also causes the dynamic forces in between these mating spur gear teeth. Again, elastic of the parts, you know very well, the pinion, then the shafts are made of some of the steel material, and this steel material is having the modulus of elasticity, and because of the change in load or change in torque, what is going to happen? At the point of contact, there may be elastic deformation of the parts, and because of this elastic deformation, again dynamic forces are going to induce in it. And last one, inertia of the rotating disc or the rotating gear. It's okay, teeth are going to engage, but you know the size of the gear, it is going to vary from small gear to the large gear, and because of that, inertia is also plays important role to induce the dynamic forces. And these are some of the factors Because of this, these dynamic forces are going to induce in it. Try to understand. I hope you are getting these points. Why dynamic forces are going to induce in melting spur gear? These are the reasons. But because of these dynamic forces, while designing the spur gear, how to take the care of these dynamic forces, that is important one. Because of that, there are two criteria to design the gear, and that's why in this slide I have written how to account for this dynamic load in spur gear design. Try to understand. And for that purpose, the important thing, how to take the care of this dynamic load in design of spur gear. How to account for the dynamic load. So for that purpose, there are two methods to account dynamic load. If you have a notebook, you can note down how to account for the dynamic load in spur gear design. There are two methods. The first one method is approximate estimation by velocity factor in the preliminary stages of gear design. This is one method. It takes into account the dynamic load. I will discuss this later on. Then second method is precise calculation by Buckingham's equation in the final stages of gear design. By these two methods, we have to take into account the dynamic load in design of spur gear. If anyone is going to ask how to take the care of dynamic load in spur gear design, you can tell them these two methods: approximate estimation by velocity factor and precise calculation by Buckingham's equation or dynamic load. Now let us discuss the first one, approximate estimation by velocity factor. Now here in first method, how this dynamic load is considered. Now let us discuss this. Let me take cursor. In first method, approximate estimation by velocity factor. Now what we have to do to estimate the module or spur, we have to design a spur gear. Estimation means to find out the module, and you know very well in design always the gears are specified by using the module. So what we have to do, we have to use the velocity factor. In preliminary stages of design, you can say or the velocity factor. But if we are going to consider all these reasons, inaccuracies, tooth profile error, then modulus of elasticity or elastic deformation, bearing problem associated with dynamic forces, so it's very difficult to calculate the exact magnitude of the dynamic load. Therefore, Mr. Barth introduced the velocity factor, and this velocity factor is also known as Barth factor. And this Barth factor or velocity factors takes the care of this dynamic load in first method, approximate estimation by velocity factor in preliminary stages of gear design. Try to understand. So first method, approximate estimation by velocity factor, the Barth factor or velocity factor takes the care of dynamic load. How it takes the dynamic care of this dynamic load? When the gear speed, suppose in meshing pair, if speed is less than 10 meter per second, speed is velocity. Speed means velocity is less than 10 meter per second. We have to calculate this Barth factor is CV. It's denoted by CV by using the relation, and all these relations are given by Barth. That's why Barth factor or velocity. The 3/3 plus V, and you know V is the pitch line velocity. And you can calculate V is the pitch line velocity is equal to pi dN upon 60 as usual formula, you know very well, V. So you can find out the CV velocity factor. But when to use, there are number of Barth factors, when to use which factor. So you have to remember when velocity is less than 10 meter per second, that means small. That time ordinary or commercial cut gears made up of with the form cutter, I will explain that things also. That time you have to use a Barth factor relation, CV is equal to 3/3 plus V. Then question arises, when velocity is greater than 10, then which Barth factor should be used? Now let us see which factor you are going to use. Here you will get an idea. Now, when the velocity is greater than 10, velocity is greater than 10 meter per second, and less than 20 meter per second, that time you have to use Barth factor CV is equal to 6 upon 6 plus V. And again, as I have told, V is the pitch line velocity, which is in meter per second. Remember, it's in meter per second. Sometimes velocity may be given mm per second. You have to convert it into meter per second. Otherwise, you will get the wrong CV and you are going to use the wrong CV in per gear design. Try to understand. That means when velocity is less than 10, you have to use CV is equal to 3 upon 3 plus V. When velocity is greater than 10 meter per second up to 20, you have to use CV is equal to 6 upon 6 plus V. But when velocity is greater than, here I have written 20 and up to 25 meter per second, then you have to use CV is equal to 3.6 upon 3.6 plus under root V. And where this V is the pitch line velocity that you have to calculate by using this formula, pi dn by 60 into t 10 raised to 3, and V is in meter per second. Try to understand. Now, when velocity is greater than 25, so you have to use this relation. I am going to state here. When velocity is greater than 25 and less than 30, you have to use 5.6 upon 5.6 plus root V. This formula you have to use for Barth factor or velocity. But when again velocity is greater than 30, that time you have to use CV is equal to under root pi u.6 upon 5.6 plus root V. This relation you have to use to find out the Barth factor or velocity factor when V is greater than 30. And again, the question arises in some of the cases when velocity is it's okay. I have stated when velocity is greater than 30 meter per second, you are going to use this relation. But if it's more than that time, what you have to do, you have to take its 0.8 or 0.9. CV is equal to 0.8 or 0.9. Try to understand. That means based on the velocity V is equal to pi dn upon 60 into 10 raised to 3. That means velocity depends, pitch line velocity depends on the speed. You have to use Barth factor and velocity factor. Try to understand. Barth factor and velocity factor. That means how to take into account the dynamic forces in preliminary stages of design by using the velocity factor. You have to use this Barth factor and velocity factor based on pitch line velocity or speed. Try to understand. I hope you got it. Okay, now let us see. Once you know the, I will erase these things. Okay, no problem. Let us see. Once you know the CS means service factor. You know the torque transmitting component or a force, it's a PT. Once you know the CV, that is Barth factor or a velocity factor in preliminary stages of gear design. Once you know CS, CV and PT, so what you have to do? You have to find out the effective load between the meshing teeth. And therefore, P effective is equal to what? You can write down CS into PT. CS into PT, you will get the P max upon CV. CS into PT, you will get PT max. The CS is the service factor, PT is the tangential force, and CV is the Barth or velocity factor. And by using this relation, look at this and remember one thing, this relation is applicable only for which method? First method, the preliminary stages of gear design by using velocity factor. And for this method, you can find out P effective CS into PT upon CV. CS into PT upon CV. Try to understand. The P effective or effective load between two meshing teeth is calculated for preliminary stages of gear design by using velocity factor. P effective is equal to CS into PT upon CV. You have to use this relation. Okay. So you can note down this P effective is equal to for first method velocity factor or preliminary stages of gear design. And this CV takes the care of dynamic load. Remember, it takes the care of dynamic load. Now we are going to see what are the advantages of this CV or velocity factor. Why we are designing the spur gear by using these preliminary stages of gear design using CV? This method is having, or this velocity factor having some of the advantage. What are the advantage? These you know very well, this velocity factor, which is the empirical relationship derived basis on the past experience, and they are readily available to find out the CV, and it's based on what? Velocity or pitch line velocity, and that's why these empirical relations are very simple one, and because of that it's very easy to calculate the velocity factor, and because of that it makes your design of spur gear very easy. This is one thing. Second thing, you know very well, if you are going to data book, yesterday also I have told, there is one professional body, American Gear Manufacturing Association, and in short AGMA, AGMA. They are also adopted this and approved this velocity factor for the design of spur gears also, or other gears also. This is the another advantage, and this method gives one important advantage: satisfactory result. All these are the advantages of this method. Which method? Preliminary stages of gear design by using CV, velocity factor. But this method is also having some of the limitations or disadvantages. What are these disadvantages? We have considered in this case only the pitch line velocity is the criteria to take into account the dynamic load. But in actual practice, dynamic load depends on mass of the gears, gear shafts, gear material, modulus of elasticity. But this method neglects all these factors. This is the limitation. And second limitation is these velocity factors are applicable to the limited range of pitch velocity. I have told you, when velocity is less than 10, when velocity is greater than 10 to 20, from 20 to 25, 25 to 30, 32 or more than 30. But when it is going to vary, the which relation should be to use, which is not given. That's why limited range velocity. That's why I have told, when velocity, pitch line velocity is greater than 30 or the 40, you can use CV is equal to directly 0.8 or 0.9. That is the problem, or you can say the limitation of this velocity factor. Okay, this is about the first method. Now we are going to discuss now the second method. What is the second method? Second method is the precise calculation by Buckingham equation in final stages of gear design. Now give attention towards this method. So you will get the idea. So what we have to do by using velocity factor, one approach to find out the P effective, and second method is Buckingham's equation. Try to understand. Just you can say Buckingham's equation to find out the dynamic load. The precise calculation method, Buckingham's equation, that we are going to use. According to this method, P effective load is given. I have written here. You can note down. According to the second method, precise calculation by Buckingham equation, P effective is equal to CS into PT plus PD. An earlier method, P effective is equal to what? CS into PT upon CV. This is according to velocity factor method, and this is according to this Buckingham's equation. P effective is equal to CS PT. We know that CS, service factor, PT, tangential load. But what do you mean by this PD? The PD is the dynamic load or incremental dynamic load. And how to calculate this PD? This PD is calculated by Buckingham's equation. That's why second method is known as precise calculation by Buckingham's equation. The Buckingham's equation is used to find out the dynamic load or incremental dynamic load. Why I am using the word incremental dynamic load? As the pinion rotates, and because of that, as the profile, you know, the contact ratio, which is going to change while meshing with another gear teeth, and during that time there is a change in the dynamic load. That's why incremental dynamic load. It's okay. So we are going to use the term Buckingham's equation for dynamic load. So by using this Buckingham's equation, we can calculate the PD. How to calculate the PD? You can note down this expression. PD is equal to 21 into V into capital in bracket C into small e into B plus PT upon 21 into V plus under root this term C into E into B plus PT. I will explain one by one all the terms. Now here this V, what is V? Pitch line velocity, I have mentioned here, pitch line velocity. It's in meter per second. What is PD? Dynamic load or incremental dynamic load in Newton. What is this capital C? The capital C is deformation factor and it's in Newton per mm square. Try to understand, it's very important. It's in Newton per mm square. Sometimes in university examination, this deformation factor may be given in Newton per mm. Newton per mm. That's why try to understand whatever the C we are using our PD equation, this C, it is deformation factor, it is in Newton per mm square. Try to understand. Then what is E, small e? E is the sum of the errors between two meeting teeth. Sum of the errors means this E is equal to, I am writing, AP plus EG. AP plus EG. What is EP? Error on pinion and error on gear. And again this error, it is defined in micron. So what you have to do, find out the error in micron, then you can convert into meter and mm as per the our relation. But here written, look at this. What is written? This small e is the error or sum of the error between the two meshing teeth, and it is given E is equal to, you can write down EP plus EG. And for that purpose, we have to find out this EP also, EG also, and then find out the E, sum of the error C, and you can substitute here to get the PD. And after getting PD, you have to substitute, you will get here PT. But it's in mm. That means in PD relation, this error, sum of the errors, which is in mm. Then here small this B, you know very well, is the phase width, that it is again mm. If it's not given, yesterday I have told you, you have to assume it's 10 times the module or in between. Optimum range 8 module and up to 12 module. And then what is PT? Tangential force. I have already told PT is the tangential force due to rated torque. You have to find out this tangential force from MT, from the torque, and torque you have to find out the power. You know very well. And then the other relation V, C, E, V, you know very well, all these are the parameters. V is the pitch line velocity, C is the deformation factor in Newton per mm square, E is the total error in mm is equal to EP plus EG, B is the phase width, PT is the tangential force. Once you know all these factors or parameters, you can easily find out the PD. After that, you can substitute here this. You know the PT, PD, CS, you will get the P effective. In second method, precise calculation by Buckingham's. An earlier method in velocity factor P effective, you have to remember CS upon CV, CS into PT upon CV, this relation. Try to understand. I hope you are getting this thing. You can note down all these points in your notebook. Now let us see how to calculate this deformation factor also. That is important. It's okay, I have told this value in Newton per mm square. But this deformation factor depends on modulus of elasticity, because when two gears are going to mesh here, there is, because of tangential force to transmit the torque and power, at the point of contact between this meshing pair, pinion and gear, there is a deformation, elastic deformation, which is going to happen. And this deformation or elastic deformation is care is taken by this deformation factor. But this deformation depends on elasticity of the material. Material means which material which is used for the pinion and which material is for the gear. And you know very well, earlier session we have already discussed, while designing the gears, maybe spur or a pinion, you have to decide which one is the weaker one. If same materials are used, pinion is always weaker. If different material are used, you have to decide whether pinion is weaker or the gear is weaker, and how to decide it. So you have to use the sigma B into Y product decides whether the pinion is weaker. Y is the Lewis form factor, or sigma B into Y for gear, that product you have to use, and which one is the less, that decides which one is the weaker, whether the pinion is weaker or whether the gear is weaker. I have already told that thing or discussed with you. It's okay. But this deformation factor depends on modulus of elasticity. Form of tooth. Form of tooth means whether the 14.5 degree annulus system, 20 degree full depth annulus system, 20 to 25 form of tooth. And if we are discussing this form of tooth, that means pressure angle. That means deformation factor depends on this modulus of elasticity, depends on form tooth, and depends on pressure angle. Try to understand. And how to calculate if this modulus of elasticity for pinion material, modulus of elasticity for gear material known to you, you can find out C is equal to, by using this relation, K upon 1 upon EP plus 1 upon EZ. EP and EZ are modulus of elasticity of pinion material, Newton per mm square, is the modulus of elasticity of gear material. You can substitute here. And what is K? K is the constant depending upon the form of tooth. So you will get C, and you can use that C to find out the PD as discussed on earlier slide. Okay, but how to take the value of K? Again, here values of K are also given based on the pressure angle or form of tooth. Look at this. K is equal to 0.107 is for 14.5 degree full depth teeth. K is equal to 0.111. It's for 20 degree full depth annulus. And K is equal to 115. It's for 20 degree stub teeth. You can substitute, suppose it's a 20 degree full depth, K is equal to 0.111. You can substitute here for a modulus of elasticity and pinion and material. You can substitute, you will get C. And once you will get the C, you can substitute in PD relation here, value of C. That means V pitch line velocity, you know very well, pi d by 60. C from this equation, K upon upon in bracket 1 upon EP plus 1 upon G. Then find out the E, sum of the errors that we have to find. B is the phase width 10 times the model if is not given, or in between n times the model and the 12 models. PT is a tangential force. But how to find out this E? E is the sum of the errors. Now let us see here. We are going to discuss that E also. There are 2 minutes. Within 2 minutes, I will explain. So these deformation factors again in data book, direct deformation. If formula is not given and sometimes direct deformation factors are available in data book, you can use. If pinion is made up of grey cast iron, gear is made up of grey cast iron for 20 degree depth, here this value of C is 5700. If made up of steel and grey cast iron combined, pinion is made up of steel, gear is made up of grey cast iron, that time for 20 degree full depth annulus 7900, and if both are made up of steel, pinion and gear, that time 11400. Try to understand these values. You can remember directly given charts in data book also. So directly you can refer data book. You can take this value based on which type of material used for pinion and which type of material used for gear also. But another important parameter, that is E, error, some of the errors. This E I have mentioned already. E is equal to EP plus EZ, total error. The error on for pinion and error for gear, that you have to add it. And how to find out this EP and how to find out the EZ, that is important. And these errors are nothing but a tolerances, are nothing but a tolerances. So here I am going to write tolerance for adjacent pitch here. That's why tolerance means, tolerance is the, you know, the allowance, some of the allowance which is provided on the gears while manufacturing or different, you know, the manufacturing operations are used, and because of that it gives some tolerances for the gear tooth profile. That's why it's this error is having a relation with the tolerances. That's why you can directly say that it's also a tolerance. But that means what you have to do, you have to find out the error, means you have to find out this tolerance. And these tolerances are calculated by using basic equation. How to find out? Look at this. I am going to write pi is equal to m plus 0.25 under root. Here I am going to write small d. It should not be this dash, small d. What is this small d? It's a PCD. I have written here. Look at this PCD. And what is m? M is the module. By using this relation, you have to use this pi. And once you know the pi, we are going to find out the pinion. What you have to do? Pi for pinion is equal to module plus 0.25 under root PCD for pinion. Similarly, you can find out pi g for gear. Again, what? M plus 0.25 under root dg. Why I am writing this? Whether the pinion is weaker, whether the gear is weaker. Based on that, we have to use this pi p or pi g. And this pi p and pi g, we are going to use different, the manufacturing methods, and based on that, we are going to select the errors on pinion and errors on gear. Look at this. Once you know the phi by using earlier equation, maybe phi p for pinion or phi p for what? Gear. The different grades of gears are given based on the manufacturing methods. Look at this. Gear 1, 2, 3, 4 are the gears are manufactured by precise manufacturing processes. Finish grinding, then saving, then lapping. Such operations are performed. When such a manufacturing methods are used, you have to use these equations to find out the E. And this value of E is in micron. But in the PD formula, in mm, you have to convert micron into mm also. So look at this. If grade 4 in problem statement, if you are going to use, here is precisely manufactured by using the grade 4. That time, which relation you are going to use? The U is equal to 3.20 plus 0.25 plus pi. And where pi is equal to which equation? Earlier equation, tolerance equation. Pi is equal to m plus 0.25. This equation you have to use. And by using this equation, you can use the pi value here. Then you will get the error E. What E? It's in micron. Convert it into mm and then send this E for pinion. So you have to calculate E for pinion as well as V for gear. And then you can add it. What is the change? Model remains same for both equations. Only the D under root D, that is pinion, P circle diameter of the pinion, P circle diameter of the gear is going to change. And because of that, this pi is going to change for the pinion and pi is going to change for the gear. And because of that, EP is going to change and EG is going to change. Then EP plus EG, you will get the E. It's in micron, then convert it into mm and use it in PD. Again here, in general, if gear quality is not mentioned, that time always prefer grade 8 or 9. Try to understand why. Because in workshops, here might be, gears are manufactured by hobbing operations, as usual, turning or hobbing or other operations. And for that purpose, if it is not mentioned, you have to select the grade 8 or 9 and generally select 8. That is 16 plus 1.25, and again pi is equal to, you know very well, pi is equal to what? M plus 0.25 under root DP. Similarly for DG, you can substitute, you will get EPEG. You can edit, you will get E for grade 8. And for 12 grade, it's very rough gear or casting. Here I have written grade 11 and grade 12 are manufactured by casting process. That means as the grade increases, precision quality or quality of gear is going to decrease. Surface finish is going to decrease. Try to understand. And that's why these grades are precisely manufactured, moderately manufactured, and roughly manufactured. Precisely, moderately, and roughly. Different manufacturing methods. And accordingly, we have to decide this error. By using this relation, you have to substitute pi p for pinion and pi p for gear. You will get EP easy, and you can find out E is equal to EP and easy. Hoping you are getting all these points. Okay. And once you will get this, so what you have to do? You have to find out the PD. PD means this. I am going to show once again you. You will get C, you will get E, you will get B, PT, you will get the PT. Okay. PD, dynamic load. And once you will get the dynamic load, then next what you have to do, you have to find out the effective load for second case. How to find out that effective load for second case? I am going to show it to you. Look at this. And for precise calculation by Buckingham equation, P effective is equal to CS into PT plus PD. And once you will get the P effective by using the second method, and this is P effective CS into PT by PV by first method or velocity factor. Next design, what you have to do, I have already told. while explaining the SB beam strength. The beam strength should be greater than or equal to P effective, or it should be greater than. If anyone is going to ask you, design a spur gear by using velocity factor, that time what you have to use? SB should be greater than P effective. And if they are stating by velocity factor, the SB should be greater than P effective means velocity factor means which P effective? CS into PT upon CV. And again I am going to write SB is equal to P effective, that is CS into PT upon CV into FOS. And here you can use FOS, all the values in SB means M into B into sigma B into Y. And where you will get the M is equal to something, or sometimes if you know the M, you can find out the FOS, and this determined FOS should be less than the application FOS. This is one approach. And if anyone is going to ask you design the gear by using precise calculation method or Buckingham equation, you are going to write SB is equal to P effective into FOS. This is the general equation for both the methods. But what is P effective here? For Buckingham's dynamic load, for precise calculation, the P effective is equal to CS into PT plus PD, try to understand, plus PD, and into this FOS is equal to SB, and again SB means M into B into sigma B into Y is equal to this. So what you have to do? You can determine M or module, or find out if you know the if earlier you have determined the module or calculated, find out the FOS. This calculated FOS should be less than the application FOS. In this way you have to complete the design by using beam strength. I hope you got it. Thank you. I am going to stop here. Thank you. I have referred Vibhandari's book for this session. Thank you. If you have any query, you please contact us through the WhatsApp number or mail me at pbkushari@kkvak.edu.in. Thank you. Thank you very much.